All right, we're looking at polynomial operations today. When you have polynomials, you can add them, you can subtract them, you can multiply them, you can divide them, you can factor them. There's several things you can do. We're going to look at adding and subtracting and multiplying first. So let's just write 2 down here. Let's say we have 5x minus 1 is one polynomial. And then let's say we have 4x plus 7 is my other polynomial. Okay, there's my 2 polynomials. When I add these, all right, when I add, I look for like terms. So if I'm adding these together, okay, my like terms will look like 4x and 5x. And usually when we add, we start with our highest power and work our way down. So like x to the 1 is the highest power. So I'm going to add 5x plus 4x, which is 9x. All right, then I go down, which would be my constants here, and I got a -1 plus a 7, which would be 6, a positive 6. And there you go. That's what I get when I add them. Okay, now let me write them again here. Suppose I'm subtracting them. Okay, I'm subtracting them. When you subtract, there's all kinds of issues involved. So the best thing to do here is change it to add. What I mean by that is, if I have 5 minus 3, 5 minus 3 is 2. We all know that. Okay, but we can change this to addition. If I have the 5, okay, I'm going to change this. I change from subtract to add, and then I add the opposite of 3, which is -3. 5 plus -3 is the same exact thing. All right, so we're going to add the opposite. Okay, so that still is 2, and I get the same answer when I do this. Okay, so that's really what we want to do when we have expressions. We don't ever want to subtract them. We want to add them. Subtracting causes us problems. So if I do that here, I change this to add, okay? And then in here, I'm going to change these to opposites. So I'm going to have this right here. I'm going to have 5x minus 1 plus, and then my 4x becomes a -4x, and my positive 7 becomes a -7, and now I just add them. Okay? I distribute the minus through here, and then I add them. So now when I add, I do my like terms. 5x plus -4x is just a single x. And then -1 plus -7 is -8. And that's what I get right there when I subtract them. Okay, I'll do another one like that in a minute. Let's multiply these two. When I multiply, all right, it's 5x minus 1 times 4x plus 7. I'm going to multiply these. All right, you can do what's called the FOIL method on this, but what I like doing is the box method. In the box, you build you a box like this right here. Okay, this first expression goes on top of the box. So I have 5x minus 1. I got a column for the 5x. I got a column for the -1. And then this second one goes to this side. So 4x, I have a row for the 4x, and I've got a row for the plus 7. And you can see there's 4 squares in this box, which means there's 4 products involved here. It's like right here in this one, that's 5x times 4x, which is 20x squared. Right here in this one, I got 4x times -1, which is -4x. Down here, I got 5x times 7, which is 35x. And then right there, I got -1 times 7, which is -7. And so there's my products. And if I have any like terms, I add them. Well, I got 20x squared. And then right here, these two right here are like terms. 35x plus -4x. 35 plus -4 would be 31x. And then I got -7. And there's my answer right there when I multiply them. Okay. Let's do another one. Okay. Let's do this right here. -x plus 4, and then x plus 5. We're going to do these two right here. Let's add them first. All right, so we're going to do adding. So when I add, I'm going to go -x plus +x, which -1 plus +1 is 0, so that just goes away. Then I got 4 plus 5, which is 9. So there's what I get when I add them, 9. All right, well now, let me write them again. This time I'm going to subtract them. Okay, well when you subtract, like I just told you a minute ago, we distribute that minus into this. I change this to add, and now this x becomes a negative x, and this positive 5 becomes a negative 5. Now had this been a negative 5, then it would turn into a positive 5. So this is what I have. And now I add them. You always want to add. You don't ever want to do subtraction because that causes problems. So negative x plus negative x would be negative 2x. And then 4 plus negative 5 would be negative 1. And there's my answer when I do that. All right, then multiplying, let's do negative x plus 4 times x plus 5. We'll multiply them this time. Okay, so when I multiply, remember, I'm going to do this box. So I'm going to have negative x, and I'm going to have plus 4. I've got a column for each one of those. Then I have x and then plus 5 on the side. I got a row for each one of those. So right here, negative x times x is negative x squared. 4 times x is 4x. Negative x times 5 is negative 5x. And then 4 times 5 is 20. There's all my products, and I look for like terms. Well, I got a negative x squared. And right here is like terms, right here. 4x plus negative 5x is negative 1x. And then I got a 20. And there you go. That's what I get when I multiply them. Okay? Let's go to a bigger one. Let's go, all right, here you go. 5x to the third minus 3x squared minus 5. I'm sorry, let's make that an 8. So it's different. So we have different numbers here. And then let's say we got negative 2x squared minus 3x minus 1. Okay? All right, so let's add these. Let me write them out here. I'm going to add them. All right, so starting with my highest power, 3 is the highest power here. So I look through there. There's no like terms to go with him, so I just bring him down. Then I go to my x squares. Well, here's x squared, there's x squared. So those two are going to go together. So I've got negative 3 plus negative 2, which is negative 5, x squareds. All right, then I go to my x terms. Well, my x terms, there's one right here. That's only one, so I bring him down. Then my constant terms, there's a constant, there's a constant. So negative 8 plus negative 1 is negative 9. And there you go. That's my answer when I add them. Okay. Now, what if I subtract them? So let me write them again. I'm going to subtract them this time. Okay, well when you subtract, you definitely don't want to subtract these expressions. You want to change it to add and do the opposite. So I'm going to distribute this minus through here. So that's going to turn this into a positive 2x squared. It's going to turn it into a positive 3x. It's going to turn it into a positive 1. So it turns them all into positives. And now I'll add that. Okay, so I have this guy here. I'll just bring him down. And now I add these two together. So when I add, now start with my highest power, I got the 5x to the third. So he comes on down because he doesn't have any like term to go with. Then when I do my x squareds, here's an x squared, here's x squared. So we got negative 3 plus 2, well that's a negative 1 x squared. Then I go to my x term right there, that's a plus 3x. And then my constants, right there's my constants right there. Negative 8 plus a positive 1 is negative 7. And there you go, man. There's what I get when I add them. Okay, I'm not going to get the phone. Okay, now let's multiply them. So let me write them again. I got 5x to the third minus 3x squared minus 8 times, what was it, negative 2x squared minus 3x minus 1. I'm going to multiply them. Okay, so I'm going to do a box. So let me do my box over here. Okay, now this is going to be a bigger box because I have 3 terms here. So I should have a column for the 5x to the third. I should have a column for the minus 3x squared, and I should have a column for the negative 8. And then right here for these, they go on the side here. So I got negative 2x squared, I should have a row for it. Negative 3x, I should have a row for that. And then negative 1, I got a row for that. And look, there's 9 products involved in this. All right, so right here, this is 5x to the third times negative 2x squared. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. That's going to be x to the 5. Right here, negative 3 times negative 2 would be 6, and that's going to be x4. Negative 8 times negative 2 would be 16 positive, x squared. And there you go, there's my top row. Down in this next row now, 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. And I got an x and the x to the third, that's x to the 4. Right here, negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. X squared times x be x to the third. And then negative 8 times negative 3 is 24. And I got this x coming over. And now down here, 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. It's going to be x3. There's no x's here, so negative 3 times negative 1 is 3, and that's going to be x2. Then negative 8 times negative 1 is a positive 8. And there you go. There's all my products. And I got to look and find like terms that go together. Now, usually your like terms are diagonal. And so like right here, you can see these two diagonal ones. Those are like terms. And look, all, oh, no, wait a minute. It's these two right here are x3s. This is an x2. Here's an x2, and there's an x2. There's an x, and then an 8. So it looks like I've got negative 10x to the 5. Okay. All right. Then I've got 6 plus negative 15, which is negative 9, x4. Then I got negative 5 plus 9, which is a positive 4, x3. Then I got 16 plus 3, that's going to be 19, x squared. Then I have this 24x, I'm running out of room, and I got a plus 8. And there you go, man, that's what I get when I multiply them. Okay. All right, so that's how you do adding, subtracting, and multiplying. Now we're going to look at factoring. Okay. All right, when you have factors on factoring, you have a trinomial that's like maybe this right here. Okay, you want to factor that down into factors. What I mean by that is, suppose I have this right here. These are two factors, and I multiply them together. I'll do the box. So I'll just do this in my head right here. This is going to be x squared plus 2x minus 15. This is what I get when I multiply these two things together. All right, factoring is the opposite of this, multiplying. We want to get this right here back into these factors like that right there. Okay, now, so here's what the two factors are for this. Let me do this one here real quick, and then I'll do that one. So if I have this, I know this is what my factors are. How do I find them? All right, what I do is I take my 15 and I break it down. 15 divided by 1 is 15. 15 divided by 2 is a decimal, so I don't write that. 15 divided by 3 is 5. 15 divided by 4 is a decimal, so I don't write that. 5 is next, and it's already over here, so that tells me that's all the factors. Okay, so I look at my factors here. Now, since there's a minus in front of this 15, I want to subtract my factors, and it's got to equal 2. All right, so again, there's a minus here, they got a minus, and they got to equal this number right here. I got to subtract them, and they got to equal 2. So that's 3 and 5. That's the numbers that go in the factors. So what I do is, on my factors, I know this is an x and that's an x, because when I multiply them, I got to get this x squared. And the numbers here got to be 3 and 5, because we just figured out that's the numbers they got to be. Okay, now I'm almost done. I got to put my signs in. Well, this sign right here in the middle always goes to the big number. Okay, now what's this sign here? Well, I look at the last one. Now pay attention on this. This last sign tells me if the signs are the same or if they're opposites. This last sign being a negative tells me that these signs have to be opposites. So that means since this is a plus already, that have to be a minus. And see, there's my factors, it was. Okay, so let's go to this one and factor it. All right, so I've got a 40 here. So let's break it down. 40 divided by 1 is 40. 40 divided by 2 is 20. 40 divided by 3 is a decimal, so we skip it. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 40 divided by 5 is 8. 40 divided by 6 is a decimal. 40 divided by 7 is a decimal. 8's over here, so that tells me I'm done. So there's all my possibilities. All right, well, I look at these possibilities. Since I've got a minus in front of this 40, that means I need to subtract these and get 3. Which ones subtract and get 3? Well, it's got to be 5 and 8. So my factors, this is x and x, this is 5 and 8. Okay? Now, automatic, this goes to the big one. This middle sign always goes to the big one. Now, this last sign being a minus, this minus on the last sign tells me that my two signs are opposites. So since this is a minus, this has to be a plus, it has to be the opposite. And there's my factors. Okay, we'll do another one. X squared, let's see here, minus, let's see, 10x plus 16. Okay, we're going to factor this one. So 16 is my number, so break it down. 16 divided by 1 is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. 16 divided by 3 is a decimal. 16 divided by 4 is 4. And look, I got to a number that's already over there, so I'm done. That's all my possibilities right there. Okay, now which ones of those add and get 10? Right there, 2 and 8. 2 and 8 are my numbers that complete the factors. So I've got x here times x there, which is x squared, and I should have a 2 and an 8. Okay, this sign always goes to the big one. Always. It always goes to the big one. Now, what's this one? Well, when I look over here, that's a plus. And if this is the last sign's a plus, that tells me these two signs down here have to be the same. Well, this one's already a minus, so that one's got to be the same. It's a minus also. And there's my factors. You can always multiply them together and see if it works, and it does. Here's another one. Okay, what about this one? Well, 48 is my last number, so I'm going to break it down. 48 divided by 1 is 48. 48 divided by 2 is 24. 48 divided by 3 is 16. 48 divided by 4 is 12. 48 divided by 5 is a decimal, so I skip it. 48 divided by 6 is 8. 48 divided by 7 is a decimal, and then 8's over there. So that tells me I've got them all. You just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You keep going until you get to a number on this side. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until you get to a number that's on this side over here. Okay? So there's all my possibilities. Now look at them and figure out which ones add and get 19. They have to add and get 19 right there. 3 and 16. There's my numbers. They add up to 19. So that means I got an X in the front of both of these, and I got a 3 and a 16. Okay? This automatically goes to the big one. Every time. This sign goes to the big one. Now this last sign being a plus, if that last sign's a plus, that tells me the two signs are the same. So that means this sign is the same as that sign. And there's my factors. Okay? All right then. Let's do, let's see here. Okay. Let's do this right here. 3x squared minus 33x plus 72. Okay. Now let's do this one right here. Well, now first thing to do is that since this has a number in front, we want to look and see if these all divide down. Well, they do. And that helps us tremendously here. But this number in front is going to be difficult unless we divide it down. Well, all three of these divide by 3. So I'm going to factor a 3 out. So 3 divided by 3 would just be 1x squared. 33 divided by 3, that'd be 11. 72 divided by 3 is 24. So there you go. I factored this 3 out. Now I've got this that I want to factor down. So 24 is my number. 24 divided by 1, 24 divided by 2, 24 divided by 3, 24 divided by 4, 24 divided by 5 is a decimal, and then 6 is over there. So there's all of them. Now, which ones of these add and get 11? Right there, 3 and 8. All right, so we got our factors here. Go ahead and bring this 3 down because we factored the 3 out previously, so the 3 comes on down. I've got an x here and an x there. I got a 3 and an 8. And now this goes to the big one. And then this last sign being a plus tells me that my signs have to be the same. So this is a minus, that means this has to be the same. It's a minus also. Okay? All right, so that's how you do this. Now, if you need help, just contact me and I'll help you all I can, all right? So have a good rest of the day.